So what's really exciting about your story, which like I've gotten to see, is not that long ago, like you were trying to figure out your place. You were trying to figure out how to gain traction. You were using LinkedIn. You were helping people gain some stuff there, but you weren't having the massive success that you are now. So take us back to the beginning. Where did all of this start for you, and why LinkedIn?
Yeah, it is funny, man. We did go from like June of 2019 is when I made my first hire, Tina, who's still crushing it today with us, and now it's late summer, I guess early fall 2020, and there's 25 plus people on the team, and we're still hiring people. And so yeah, I'll weave that into the story. But there was a period of time where it's like, man, I'm making other people a lot of money, but how do I create a model where I can do that for myself? So, but a lot of people, especially when someone is going to be helping them with something, they want to know like what their story was to discover an answer in order to know that this is someone that they can take advice from. And so mine is a pretty simple story. I graduated high school in 2012, and at that point in my life, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I thought maybe I want to be a teacher. I like being a role model to people, but I never had good grades. I was in the 2 to 3.0 GPA range, and just never was never a celebrated person academically, and the trajectory of my success was not looking too good from the world view at that point. But over the summer, I found a job actually selling Cutco knives, and I loved it. And it was something where I was seriously working so hard at it that I was forgetting to eat. Like I was so excited that like the day would go by and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I haven't eaten today. And it's just because I was like trying to crush my goals all day. And it was such an awesome feeling, waking up like it's Christmas every day. And it was actually funny about that. I was beating everyone in my office. I was beating people all around the state and nationally, breaking records. And actually the valedictorian of my high school, someone who's very celebrated academically, really awesome trajectory of where they would go in life. I crushed him too. And so it started to make me think maybe these rules of society don't really apply to me. I'm someone that can break these rules and have success. And then school started, and I was sat back in a desk and talked at for hours at a time, and about random things like the history of baseball. As I remember, like a random topic, I was like, here we go again. And I remember the contrast of my energy just going from, again, working so hard, I was forgetting to eat, like just super excited about everything going on in life. I was making commas on my paycheck for the first time at 18 years old, which is neat. And then sitting in a desk and just the energy level dropping and remembering where I was just a few months prior. And within 2 weeks, I quit college. It took me 2 weeks to drop out of college. And I told my parents that I was going to drop out of college and sell knives full time for the rest of my life. Which you can imagine was a tough sell.
What was their response to that?
They, in their mind, they wanted to feel like they were allowing me to be an adult. They made that decision for, I'm the youngest of four, that once you're 18, you're an adult, you make decisions for yourself. But, it also, they love me and care about me. Like it brought them a lot of pain for me to come to them and say this. So they encouraged me to talk to other people and whatever. But honestly, in Waynesboro, Virginia, there wasn't really anyone that I was going to talk to that was living the life that I wanted to have anyway. So I didn't end up really talking to anybody. I just kind of went for it. And, but even then, when I went for it, I went all in and they supported me with that. And so I ended up running one of the top offices for the company, stayed with the company for 3 years, and eventually thought that maybe I can make more money applying that much energy towards something else besides kitchen utensils. And so I was like, how about the financial industry? And so I messed around in the financial industry. And that's when actually my introduction into LinkedIn really, or I started using it more intentionally, because again, I'm in this small town and there's not a lot of like entrepreneurs and C-level executives and people that I wanted to get meetings with. And so I had to get creative and do something that no one else was doing at the time. This is 5 or 6 years ago. And everyone in my office kind of asked me not to do, because it's a very slow moving industry. So I started messing around, and I was like the original spammer. I made a lot of mistakes, just reaching out to people and realizing that people would never want to talk to me again based off of just playing the numbers game. And, you know, in Cutco, you learn the numbers game. The numbers game never fails. That was my edge. I wasn't the best closer. I just made more calls than anyone else, got more referrals than anyone else, and played the numbers game. And I learned the law of that. But in the financial industry, no one wants to get financial help from the guy that was the desperate marketer. And so I had to up my marketing game and learn how to be a little more stealthy in the way that I was approaching my prospects. And I eventually, you know, just through persistence, developed this process where I was actually having my dream prospects, multimillionaires, when I'm 21 years old, sending me messages first. And then even if they didn't take the bait of sending me the message first, because I would do a couple things and I can share that maybe later on, at least doing a good job of warming them up and getting a high response rate to these multimillionaires and stuff, to get to talk to this low 20 something, financial advisor. And my biggest problem was I didn't know what to do once I got the meeting, but I was getting a lot of meetings nonetheless. I eventually bumped into, through my process, prospected the guy that was the CEO of the fastest growing company in North Carolina. They're only a couple years old, but he kept trying to convince me to work for him. And I said no so many times, but eventually I said yes, moved down there and helped them grow out their company. Within the first year, we doubled the size of the sales team from 25 to almost 50 salespeople. That wasn't our job, by the way. We just kind of did that. And then we did a couple million in revenue, but then the next year we kind of honed it and taught a lot of other people in the company. And that this LinkedIn process helped create, I'm sure, over 8 figures in revenue for the company. And that's when a lot of people started asking questions in different industries outside of the company, from recruiting to SaaS to coaches, consultants, whatever. People asking, what is it that you're doing on LinkedIn that's working? I started sharing it. And these people told me that it was way better than what some other LinkedIn expert taught them just a few months ago. And that gave me a lot of confidence. Once I heard that enough times, I had enough confidence to develop a course. That way I could share it with my friends easier without having to re-explain myself every time. And then I left that company and I launched my own coaching business, Grow and Give. And when I was doing Grow and Give, I did anything from, having CEOs fly me out to speak to their sales team, speaking on stage, I hosted the first ever LinkedIn retreat, where we bought out a lake mansion and had people flying from all over the country so I could teach them my process for a few days and have a lot of fun that way. And the thing that I ran into was I realized that maybe in some cases 1 out of 5 or some cases 1 out of 10 people would actually implement the strategy. When people did, we have amazing testimonials of people going from 12,000 a month in revenue to 30,000 within 2 weeks of implementing our process, and really awesome, just great testimonials like that. But the majority of the time, people would give me their money and then wouldn't do anything, and therefore wouldn't have any benefit. And it's their fault, it's their problem. But I want to wake up every day feeling like I'm actually making a real impact on people's lives. And so at the beginning of 2020, I pretty much stopped coaching a lot of people and picked up a couple clients that would allow me just to take the controller and do it for them. One of those companies most people have never heard of before, but they have over 1,000 employees. They're paying me $10,000 a month just to do it for them. The other company was TikTok, actually. Both companies had to actually fire me within 3 to 5 weeks. So TikTok, for example, they wanted 150 leads in 5 weeks, and we got them over 1,100 in 3 weeks. And so I think that they just didn't check the spreadsheet where we're storing all the leads until a few weeks later, oh my gosh, they opened up, there's way too many people. And then the other company after 5 weeks said, hey, we got way too many leads. Like we need to put this on pause. And that's when we knew we had something really good. And like we were overloading people with leads. And it was such a fun feeling, especially for TikTok, because I got to fly out to their event where we were generating leads, and too many people showed up. They had to split the event into 2 events on 2 levels, and they were still standing room only. The rooms were hot and sticky, kind of like it was chaos and amazing. Like I loved it. So we launched Lead Baller, where we essentially take out the process of you learning this strategy that, you know, some of the very well-known companies were paying me a lot of money to teach them. And now we just say, hey, how about we just do it for you? And we do it at scale. And so that's how Lead Baller was born.